Hey guys, Enloman here for another deck profile. As you can see from the thumbnail and also the title, or just basically what's on the mat, we are looking at Ancient Garuru. This deck used to be it used to basically exist back in BT4 when we got the first wave of hybrid support, and it was basically one of the top tier meta decks because it basically just checked so much security so fast that your opponent basically couldn't respond, especially back then because we really did not have a way to counter that kind of stuff. And basically, the deck basically goes back to that where it just hard like turbos into your opponent and they basically can't do anything. From what people have seen of what this deck can do, it's pretty crazy. I've tested this deck at least against different types of decks. I've tested against Omni, Red Hybrid, Emperor Red Hybrid, my own Imperial build, my own Numamon build. I've tested against almost everything, and this deck is just really insanely fast. Especially if you get the correct hand, usually you just kind of just go off and they basically can't do anything. There's like, I would say maybe like a 5% chance of bricking, but the bricks are really bad when it happens, but that's only a 5% chance because normally your hands are going to be basically fixed by Ukos, along with basically passing turn with Tamers and then just kind of waiting. And then while you wait, you just kind of digivolve and you just kind of keep rushing them and setting up. And then eventually you just go, oh, I have all the pieces. Let me evolve my Koji and win. It's basically that strategy continuously. And the more messed up part is that the new Ancient Guru basically recycles parts that it used to do it, and then as long as you have another one in hand or you draw into another one, you basically just win the game at that point. It's pretty crazy. Honestly, this deck is very basic, but it has a lot of moving parts to it. So I just want to show you my build to basically show you how it works. First off, for eggs, we are running the 4 Koromons because we will be evolving Uko on this to basically get an extra draw. So pretty strong. Then we are running one of the new BT17 Gigimon. I actually managed to pull this today as a recording, a pre-release copy, so it's a really nice foil. Gigimon is actually really crazy for this deck because there are certain rookies and stuff that can basically floodgate you, or if you encounter another hybrid deck, maybe they're Bokomon. Basically, you push up the Uko, you basically pay 1 memory while swinging to delete it, so they basically can't do their Boko because it's not a hybrid or anything like that, or it's like a Floodgate rookie like Pillowmon, basically. So you can basically kill it with the Gigimon, which is really, really strong. Or you can also use this to kill a memory stopping rookie like Chumon or Terriermon or something like that. You basically use this to kill it. So it's a really good one of just in case if you do encounter those floodgates. I haven't really encountered it yet, so I haven't really needed to use it yet. But it's just, it's very useful to have. So we run at least just 1 copy just in case. For rookies, as I mentioned before, we are running the 4 promo Ukos from the movie. Then we're running the promo Ukos from BT16. Self-explanatory. This one, push up, you gain memory. This one, push up, you basically get to search the top 3 for a Digimon or a Tamer, which is really strong. Then we run actually 3 Muchomon from BT15 because this basically, alongside the Coralmon, basically becomes a Gyomon. Specifically, the one that's like a promo one. It's the one where you swing and then you draw a card, and then you draw a card if it's a Gyomon. Basically, here you draw one whenever one of your red Digimon attacks a player. So when you swing into their security, you're guaranteed to get a draw, and then you get the draw once you remove security. So pretty strong. And then if they do block you, you still technically get a draw, so it's not that bad if they do block you, which is really nice. Then we run 2 Gatsumon because there are a lot of decks aside from this deck basically playing Digimon out through effects, so we need this to basically stop them from doing their plays. So we run 2 just in case. And then the last rookie is just 1 Boko. Boko is just there because sometimes you really need a good search, and this guy basically does it for you. So, and of course he makes it so when you evolve on top of the Tamer, it reduces the cost by 2 because you gain back 2. So really, really strong card. So you have to run at least maybe 1 copy. Originally I was running 2, but I felt that was kind of like, it made me way too over reliant on getting it rather than focusing on the Uko rushing, which is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be Uko rushing or Mucho rushing, basically. So putting this at 1 basically forces you to consider like, oh hey, I should just play this, I will do it, and then if not, whatever, I still have the Ukos. So pretty solid for the rookies at this moment. We're running at least, let's say, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14 rookies. 14 rookies is pretty solid. Originally, as I mentioned, I did run a second one of this, so it was 15. I felt it was a bit too much because then sometimes I would not see my level 4s sometimes, specifically one or the other. It's kind of like with Imperial where you don't see the other piece, so you can't basically go off. But at the same time, at least with this deck, you can actually go off if you do it correctly. So yeah, for level 4s, obviously, this being Ancient Guru, we are running the new Lobomon that lets us basically evolve into Ancient Grey, like basically skip into Ancient Grey, like skipping level 5 for a cost of 3, but that's only if you're Digivolving on top of a Kendo or you have a black or purple Digimon or Tamer already out on the board. Its when attacking is also really strong. If you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand, you get to draw 1. Then we run 4 of the new Kendo as well because you can, when attacking, you get to draw a card, and then when attacking, you also get to slide evolution into a hybrid. So you can evolve into the Lobo and then skip directly into Ancient Grey while attacking. So you are basically guaranteed 2 checks in that process. And then alongside with that, whenever you draw a card, both of the Koji Tamers do trigger. So meaning you will either be able to be unblockable or, both of them you will gain at least 1 memory, and then you'll either gain jamming or become unblockable. So really strong. Then, as I mentioned, I run 2 more Kendos because in my testing, when I only ran these 8, I did not see one of the Kendos sometimes, or I just would not see Lobo, or I would see just all my Lobos. So I'm going to run, and then there were multiple times where I actually had game, but I just did not draw a hybrid specifically. So we are increasing the Kendo up to 2. Up to basically 6 at this point. I wanted to do a Kendo and then 1 basic Lobo from BT4, but I feel like having this and getting that extra jamming check is way more important. So I opted to do the 8. So this actually feels a little bit more comfortable. Now with, well, essentially it's 10 now. So you actually will be able to see them more consistently. So I feel this works a little bit better and you won't be having those moments where you really, really need a hybrid to go for game. Then we do run 1 level 5, and that is 1 copy of Beowulf. I know some builds are opting to run the old one because you can evolve for 1 cost, but you honestly never ever need to do that because you're usually going to be removing something with the effect of Ancient Garuru. This one is there specifically so that you can evolve on top of a Koji or evolve on top of one of these and stun your opponent so they can't get that extra swing for game. So we run this basically just for the stun. And then for level 6s, we only run 1, and of course that's going to be Ancient Garuru. The new Ancient Garuru is basically cracked, and it really needs a hit because if not, and they're going to be leaving this list until like next year, this deck is going to be dominating because it's basically just as fast as Numamon, or even it's basically the same speed. They're both really fast decks that do exactly what they want, and they don't care what you do, basically. For those that don't know what this does, it has an on-play and when Digivolving effect, you get to return one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level to the hand. When an effect, your turn once per turn, when an effect adds a card to you or your opponent's hand, your opponent adds the top card of their security stack to their hand. So even if you don't bounce anything, as long as you basically get a draw, you get to trigger his effect to bounce their security, which is really gross. And then on deletion, you can return a Tamer card and 1 card with hybrid in its trait from your, or basically a hybrid trait Digimon card from your trash to the hand. Then you may play 1 Tamer card from your hand without paying the cost. It also has a Digicross requirement, and if you use this in conjunction with the new option card, Ancient Guardian Deity, you can make this card basically 2 cost. Or with the option, you're basically only paying 4, so you're passing turn with this, and you get to bounce something, so it's really strong. And as I mentioned, when you're swinging with the Kendo, you get to evolve into Lobo, and then Lobo evolves into this, so basically you're going to be getting a check with jamming and basically bouncing something, so you basically get 2 security checks in total, which is really strong, and they basically can't remove this because it's going to kill itself at the end of the effect anyway, so they don't basically get to touch this, which is really cool. But yeah, we run the 4 Ancients. And then for level 7s, we only run one. It's the Ruin mode. Ruin mode, this being the fact that this is a yellow level 6, it can evolve on top, and then that basically helps you take out basically Imperial. If you don't pass turn with Ancient Guru and you're at 0, you can just Digivolve for 5 on top of this and just basically wipe their level 4s, and they can't push out their rookies and basically can't do anything next turn. And then you basically just get to swing for game next turn. So really strong. But yeah, that's basically all the Digimon in the deck. The rest of the deck is honestly just option and tamers. So let's actually get through those pretty quick so I can discuss what they do. First, Hammer Spark. Gain 1 memory. This has basically clutch matches for me. And of course, if your opponent swings into it in security, gain 2. So self-explanatory. Then we run 2 Ancient Guardian Deity. Shout out to my friends at Locals for helping me get these alt arts. These are really cool arts, and I was really hyped to see that they changed the art to this one. But yeah, for those that do not know what this does, this is a 2-cost option that can be played as long as you have a Tamer. It ignores the color requirements. You get to return 1 Digimon card with Hybrid trait or 10 Warrior trait from your trash to the hand. Then you may play 1 Digimon card with 10 Warriors trait or 1 Tamer with inherited effects from your hand without with the play cost reduced by 4. So you basically reduce this from a 6 if you get both parts to a 2 cost, and then with this you're basically playing exactly 4 memory in the process. So you basically get a level 6 for 4 memory. And then you have the other effect with the security, where basically you get to play a Tamer card with inherited effects from your hand or trash. So if they already killed a Koji, you get to basically play it back out. And then you get to add this to hand and you get to do the thing. So really solid. You have to run at least 2. I know some builds are running 3 to 4, but I feel 2 is already solid. Your main goal is to just do the hybrid play and just swing and just do damage. Sometimes you will need this, but you don't need it all the time. I feel like this is already really good by itself. So this by itself is already pretty decent. Just 2 copies should be fine. Then we run, of course, this being a red base, we're running 2 Crimson Blazes because a lot of decks like to play Digimon by effects and like to swarm. And if you deal with Numamon, you can use this to basically stop them from for a turn from basically doing most of their plays. It still kind of doesn't really stop them because they can just hard play stuff, but this will slow them down, and it does hurt a lot of swarm decks like Digipolice and Eosmon, and just anything that can swarm and summon stuff, this will hurt it. Then we run 2 Heaven's Judgment because most of these cards are dual colors. If you have an Uko and a Kendo, you're basically guaranteed to do minus 24,000 on the board. So it's pretty cool to just pass turn. Like if you have a Boko out, you basically pass turn. You basically stay at 3 if you have this memory setter. Then you go, oh, okay, I have 3 colors on board. Okay, minus. I'll pass you to 4, but I will be doing minus 24,000 to your board. So no matter what, I'm wiping it. So really strong. That's basically all the options we run. As you can see, we're running like 8, but all of them do a certain impact to the board. Like this helps you set up faster. This helps you set up a really big guy, and if they can't get rid of it, they basically lose. This helps slow down swarm decks, and this helps us wipe boards as well. So this deck has a very huge variety of stuff to deal with your opponent with, which is really good because that's the main game of BT17. You have to be able to address the meta, and this deck can address the meta in spades. Alongside Numamon because both decks are just way too strong at the moment. But yeah, for Tamers, obviously we're running the 4 Kojis from BT17. This is your memory setter, but also its inherit effect is really broken. You basically, no matter what, you will be drawing a card, so you will get that extra memory and gain jamming no matter what. So it's really strong. Then we run 3 of the old Kojis because this old Koji, basically when you're attacking and you draw something, you gain a memory and you become unblockable, so why not? I mean, yeah, you can't warp into Magna Garuru, but who cares? You basically made your guy unblockable. Then we run 1 Davis, specifically because it's a memory tamer, plus it helps us search our deck more, so it's all good if you hit this, like, turn 1, like if you have it in hand. Hard playing it honestly doesn't hurt you because you do get to set up. Hold on, let's push this up. Then we're running 2 Digimon Emperor because alongside us, a lot of other decks are also abusing Ukos or trying to rookie rush you. So this will honestly slow them down and give them less resources. And of course, if their guy dies, you get to get an extra card, which can help you grab Kendo or Lobo or whatever piece you're missing still. Then we run 2 Louis. I was running this at 3, but I did brick a few times because of that. So I decided to just run 2 copies. And so far, it's been working out because I actually ended up winning a match where I just Uko rushed my opponent. I rushed them with 2 Ukos, 2 hybrids. And then I was like, oh, cool. I still have an Uko and raising. Okay, play Louis, pass to 1. Okay, gain back 2, and then swing for gain. Because at that point, I had checked them for about 6 security in total with that last one. So I basically got the game because of that. So really cool. As you can see, this deck is, as I mentioned, very versatile. Because of the Ukos, it can basically search everything. And then with the one of Boko, you're guaranteed to at least search out some Tamers. These, you're usually going to be drawing into them or searching them through the Ukos. But most of the time, you're just going to be drawing so much that you'll be basically setting up as fast as possible. And of course, with Hammer Sparks, you do have more memory. And with like 5 memory setting Tamers, you're basically guaranteed to always be at 3. Sometimes it will happen where you don't see that Koji or Davis, or actually the Koji. That's actually why I decided to take out one of these Kojis. Originally, I was running 8 and 8, but I decided to take out one of them specifically for Davis because of the fact that there were many times during test matches and actually in small locals when I was testing it where I just kept getting memory choked to 1 and I just could not do anything, and they even had a Digimon Emperor out, so I couldn't push up without passing turn. So having a 5th memory setter actually does help immensely. So I highly recommend putting at least 1 Davis just to try it out. It works. Honestly, it really works. And then for those that are already like running 4 Louis, do not do that. Because eventually you will run out of Ukos or you will run out of Muchos, so you do not do that. Having just 2 Louis means that you play out 1 to pass turn, and then you save 1 in hand so that you can play that or push up that last Uko for game. You don't like overextend on Louis because once you run out of eggs, this card basically becomes useless. So overextending with this card is not great, and I do not like doing it. And I've done it before in when I was testing Gabu Rush. It basically became a useless Tamer later on, which really sucked. If you don't have a way to recycle your eggs like with Imperial with Paladin mode, you're basically not going to be able to do the play with him again. So you have to be really careful about that. But yeah, the Digimon Emperor is self-explanatory. It's very solid. It's very strong. You get to just punish them for basically doing the main like rookie rushing, and of course if their guy dies you basically get an extra draw. Beowulfmon I tested at 2, or actually before my previous build I had a Jet Sylphie, I had one of these and I had the old one. It did not feel good to draw Jet Sylphie. For those that are wondering, oh, why am I not playing Jet Sylphie, it doesn't feel good to draw her. Honestly, like, yeah, you get that recovery, and yeah, you can digivolve it into Ancient Garuru, but like aside from that, like, it doesn't do much. Like, it's a one of because it's still limited at 1. So if you see it, you're like, oh, cool, I get to heal, but at the same time, you just wasted an evolution into it. You could have evolved into the Beowulf or the old Beowulf and swung and, like, basically removed something. So no matter what, it just doesn't really feel right. Like, it just, like, most builds just kind of opted. I understand, yeah, oh, cool, we get to play Jet Sylphie again. That's awesome. But it doesn't stop them from swinging for game against you, sadly. Unless, you know, like, usually by the time you're healing, you're already low on security anyway, so there's no point. And the other Beowulf doesn't really work in this format because there's Tyrant, there's redirects like with Eos. Ancient Guru can just like pop it or like blast Evo into something like a Valkyrie and kill it. There's just so many factors that just hurt it. It just doesn't feel right compared to just stunning them. Like, stunning them, you are purposely stopping them from getting an extra security check, which is your main goal with this card. So I feel like just running 1 copy should be fine because, as I mentioned, your main goal is to just focus on these 2 and just go into Ancient Garuru. This is essentially an insurance plan just in case. With the Gatsumon, as I mentioned, it's mainly to stop decks like Eosmon because that deck is annoying now with the new support. Same with Numamon, it helps prevent them from basically summoning stuff, but at the same time they can just hard play stuff and just keep doing it. Uko's self-explanatory, just keep going, and yeah, just really crazy stuff. But yeah, no, as you can see, this deck is really crazy. It's really strong, like it is really strong, and it's really fast too. Like, this and Numamon are I'm going to say this at this point is the two best decks of the format, alongside with Imperial right next to them, and then right next to that is actually, yeah, no, that's basically, yeah, no. The format is literally just going to be these three decks. It's just going to be Numamon, Ancient Guru, and Imperial all side by side. They are not better than each other. They all like essentially counter something with each other. And then there's like the tier 1.5 decks like Dexdoru that just kind of do their thing. It's Dexdoru is probably one of the only decks that I can think of that can counter this deck and counter like Imperial and Nume. But aside from that, there's not really that many decks that can do it because Omni, I've seen Omni go off, but it doesn't really do anything past that Omni ace. Because once they get rid of that ace, you have to rebuild and it takes time. And if you don't have the pieces in hand, you basically lose. So, yeah. Anyway, as usual, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of this build. Yeah, just comment, let me know, because like, I do like making changes to this deck to make it as optimal as possible, and of course, to help you guys, figure out your builds. But yeah, as usual, I'll see you guys next time.